This is part 3 of the iRig series. With your character, on the top level here, your bone layer, double-click on that to open the layer settings. And there are a couple of things you want to make sure you've got set up right away. For one, click on the Allow Animated Layer Effects. We may need for this to be checked later on. Next, go to the Bone folder and be sure that you have Allow Nested Layer Control on. Be sure this is checked because what we're going to do is going to require this. And click OK. I'd also like to mention that there are several ways that you can set up an iRig for bone dials. And so this is going to be one way. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible. We won't be setting up the eyes separately, which many animators do, so that they can actually control each eye individually and they would be able to do a wink. We aren't going to be able to set this up for a wink. It would be so much more time consuming. Now you'll need to have in mind what your eye shapes will need to be for your 3/4 view. And again, as I mentioned, that's why I borrowed a character so that I would be able to draw eyes and the shapes they need to be. As you can see, these are not circles, they're ovals, right? And so I'm going to leave this on screen and I'm going to go through this process of drawing some of the parts and use these as my guide. So we'll ignore the fact that everything's already been done and we're basically going to do it all over again. Have in mind what you need to do for your character. So I need to create a folder, new layer, group, and I'll name this Eyes 2 since I already have one that says Eyes. Now later on I will have to change this to fix the masking for hide all, but I'm not going to do that yet. We just don't need to go there yet. And then I'm going to make a vector layer, drag that into that folder, and this one I'm going to call Lids. And then I'm going to draw a couple of shapes here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is choose the oval, and I do not want autofill, and I do not want auto stroke. We're kind of going to draw an empty container. Starting in the center, I'm going to hold my Alt key down so that I can kind of draw from center at this point. And I don't want a lot of points on my object. 4 is going to be plenty. And then I need to use this Transform Points tool in order to make some adjustments to this shape. Okay? I want to rotate it, and I want to get it rotated so that it's following along with the basic shape of this eye. Now I'm going to hide my original eyes for the moment so that you can see this better. And let me make sure I've got my Lids layer selected. And then I need to have this object selected so that I can copy. And then I'll paste. So I've got 2 of them. And the second one, I'm going to hold my Alt key down and shrink it. And I need to get that centered in there. Now we need to connect a couple of points. So choose your Add Point tool. You want Auto Weld and Sharp Corners. And you need to choose this point right here in the center oval. And you need to connect it to that point. Choose this point here and connect it to that point. Now we need to make filled shapes on the top one and then the bottom one. So go over here to your Select Points tool, choose the lasso mode, and select all of these points like this. Alright, you want these points, these, and this. Go to your Create Shape tool, you'll see that it gets highlighted in red, and then I'm going to get a nice dark color so you can see the contrast. Click on Create Shape for just fill. We won't do stroke right now. or both, I should say. All right, you see it's filled in. Go back over here to the Select Points tool. This time, we've got to select this set of points. These two, those two, and then Create Shape right here, and click the button Create Shape. Okay. I'm going to click on my Transform Points tool a moment and click away. So what we've got is two shapes. This is going to be essentially the upper and the lower lids. And if you want to click on this one point, you can see what it's going to do. Okay? And you can do a Control-Z to put that back to where it was. This layer is just for the lids, and so I want to create my other lid, and it's a different shape. Alright, the eye is kind of more compact. It's a little bit smaller over here, further away, because we are dealing with a 3/4 view. So I'm going to turn on my original eyes so that when I copy and paste, I'm going to be able to get a little bit better understanding of what I need to put over here. So anyway, staying on the lids layer that I've been working on, I want to select this entire object. And of course, if I just click on one part of it, I'm not going to get the whole thing. I'm only going to get the top half. So you can just use the Select Points tool, and you can just circle around that so you get everything selected. And then you can do a copy and a paste, and then you can use the Flip tool up here, the flip horizontally. But as you can see, you're going to have to make some changes. You're going to have to rotate. You're going to have to resize. Let's see here. Shouldn't have deselected that. But I think you get the point that you will have to make some adjustments. And in fact, as you can see, they're both going to need adjustments. I did a lot of fine-tuning when I made my eyes before. But I'll just squash that a tiny bit more, and then I'm going to shut off the other eyes, and we've got kind of a start on the eyelids. And let's go ahead and move on to the next in the series.